Hi everybody, and especially hello to Stephanie Hubbard, who has been waiting on this video for 3 weeks now. I'm finally making it. Woo! Okay, this is my character video. I have 5 questions here about characters in general, either my characters or other people's. Let's get started. Number 1, favorite book character. I've been telling people this, my favorite literary character of all time is Sherlock Holmes, and, like, any character slightly based off Sherlock, but mostly Sherlock Holmes himself. I've actually liked those kind of characters even before I knew who Sherlock Holmes really was, which is why I started reading the Sherlock Holmes stories. I was like, okay, I like these characters that are apparently Sherlock Holmes-esque, but I've never actually read a Sherlock Holmes story, so let me read one. So I started reading them. I cried at the end of I had the Adventures and Memoirs of Sherlock Holmes, a collection. I thought that was it. So when I got to the end, and a very sad thing happens, I cried, because I thought that was the end. And then I found out there were a lot more, which made me so happy. So yeah, that's my favorite character. I have a lot of others. Like, my favorite book is Inkheart, so I like Dustfinger and Mortimer and Maggie from that as well, and Eleanor, basically everyone in that book. But yeah, my favorite character is definitely Sherlock. Number 2. Any of my characters, are any of my characters based off of people or other characters? Most definitely. I don't make a character, I'm like, okay, this is so-and-so, and now let me just throw in some attributes from a person I know. I don't do that. It's more of either a subconscious thing, like, a couple of my characters, they're technically cats, but I realized that their relationship is very much like Sherlock and John's relationship in the Sherlock Holmes books, Sherlock Holmes and John Watson. I don't want it to be exactly the same. I don't want it to be like fan fiction-y, but I do really like their relationship, so I am kind of glad that I have that. Any characters based off of people. Margaret Winshaw is kind of based on me, because that whole series, the fantasy series, the Storage Room, as I'm still calling it, that fantasy series, is actually, began with me and a friend. We would make these little stories up, and we were the main characters, obviously, because we'd be playing these games, and it would be us playing these little fantasy games. So when I started writing them, as Suzanne Wydowrick, as my character. But then I realized if I was actually going to get this published, that would probably not be the best idea to do. So then I changed it to this character I already had from a previous series that I scrapped after the second chapter. Her name is Margaret Winshaw. She already had her own traits, but not enough to just like plop this new character in. So she kind of, the Margaret Winshaw now is part what she was in the series that I scrapped, and my traits that I already had that were integral to the plot. Because obviously, since I'd already written some of it and plotted out some of it, a lot of things that happen depend on the personalities of the characters, so I had to keep some of those or radically change the outline. I didn't really want to do that. So Margaret Winshaw kept a lot of my traits, although it's still morphing, but yeah. Anything else? Oh, yeah. Another one based off of characters. My most recent one, the Run Home Children novel that I'm currently editing. Yes. 2 characters in that, Natalia and Angela. They're somewhat based off of Korra and Asami from Legend of Korra. There are a lot of differences, but again, the relationship is very similar. Like how the 2 cats, Sabretooth and Nightfall, their relationship is like Sherlock and John. The relationship of Natalia and Angela is very much like in Legend of Korra with Korra and Asami. Moving on. Number 3. Do I have a formula for making a character? Most definitely not. They all come to me differently. With Run Home Children, Natalia came to me as an emotion, I guess you could say, at the beginning. I was in choir at a glee club here at the University of Michigan. We were singing this Spanish song called La Llorona, the crying woman, and we were singing this beautiful but like haunting song, and all of a sudden I just got this image of a character singing that because she was on a longing for something she couldn't have, which isn't really what the song is about, but, well, it kind of is. La Llorona, if you don't know, is about, it's this legend of this woman who, she, is in love with this man. I don't remember these specifics, but she's in love with this man, and she kills her children because she thinks that will make him love her more or something, but it doesn't. So now she haunts the rivers. Oh, she drowns them, by the way. So now she haunts the rivers, and drowns little kids who show up, and she cries after her children. It's very creepy, but I don't know. It's great. It's great. You should look up the song. It's a traditional song, so there are a lot of different covers of it and things. Anyway, moving on. So that's how I got just the feeling for her character, and then I had to find out, a whole backstory about why is she singing the song. I don't even know. But other characters, like I already said with Margaret Winshaw, the new version of Margaret Winshaw actually came from me playing these games. And other characters, they just come to me. There's no real formula there. Yeah. Number 4. Is there a specific type of conflict I work with to make characters dynamic? This one is a most definite yes. I like to include multiple kinds of conflicts because that makes, especially writing a novel, it's a longer, piece of fiction. Having multiple kinds of conflicts makes it more interesting and moves the story, the plot line along. But what I really like to work with is self versus self conflict, like an internal conflict with the characters. And obviously that can be affected by external, stimuli or external events, but when you get down to it, I really love a character sitting with themselves, like, some kind of internal turmoil. I think that's what really makes a character dynamic and really makes them an interesting character, really. Because if you have the same character, you can have a very interesting and in-depth character at the beginning, but they have to change somehow. Like we as human beings, like as we're going through life, if we don't have any internal conflict, we're people. We have depth. We're not just like static characters, but there are moments in our lives that are kind of like, nothing's really happening with me, nothing's really that interesting, which is why there always has to be this progression, and that's run by these internal conflicts. So that's definitely what I'm working with a lot. One hard thing with that is portraying it so that it's not too meta. Like, it's not like I write a character and the character thinks, I'm having a character develop moment. I am developing my character right now. Which in the first draft is usually how it comes across, because I'm a pantser, which means I just write. I don't even plan most of it. I just, I don't even know where the story is going. So my writing actually is me telling myself the story. So I write, it's almost like the characters are telling me how they're developing. So then in the second and third, revisions, which I'm currently trying to do with my Run Home Children novel, then I say, okay, well, this is happening to this character, but they wouldn't be conscious of that, so I have to write it so the reader knows, but the character doesn't necessarily know exactly what's happening. Okay, last question, number 5. How do I come up with names? That changes depending on the character and depending on the novel. I have a couple of specific interesting stories, but and then I have a couple of formulas for making them up. In my first novel, they were all over the place. My first novel being the Storage Room, the fantasy series with Margaret Winshaw in it. Margaret Winshaw, I got her name from, when I was in 8th grade, I played a character named Margaret Winchester. And I thought that was like a really cool name. I just really love that name, Margaret Winchester. It sounds so cool. I don't know. I thought it was cool. Plus, I was somebody's agent, and so I was a little bit rude to everybody else, and that's the kind of character I wanted Margaret Winchester to be. Like, a likable character, but she's rude. So, yeah, so I was like, oh, well, I'll just use that name. Like, I associate with this rude character. Why not? And it's a really cool sounding name, but I didn't want to use the name just as is, because I wasn't sure if there was copyright involved, and it wasn't that creative anyway. I wasn't sure. So I thought, okay, well, Margaret, that's just the first name. I'll keep that. Winchester, I'll change the last name. But I didn't want to change it completely, and I especially had the Win part of it, so I kept the Win. And then I thought, okay, who's my favorite character at the moment? And, like, well, okay, Sherlock Holmes is my favorite character, but he's always my favorite character. So I was like, well, what TV series am I watching? Well, I was watching Chuck at the moment, and I really love Shaw. He's my favorite character in Chuck. Don't ask me why. I don't know why. When I was watching Arrow, and the guy who plays Shaw showed up, I freaked out, because I just love his character so much. I don't know why. I don't even know. Anyway, so I thought, oh, well, Shaw. I'll add that to Win Shaw. But it looked weird, even though it technically is a last name. Winshaw is a last name. But I felt like I needed to make it cooler, so I added a D in between the Win and the Shaw, so it's Windshaw, like wind, you know, Windshaw. So Margaret Windshaw, that's how she got her name. That's the most interesting story I have in terms of names. Anthea Hayes, that's a character in my In Its Place book, which I haven't talked about yet. Anthea Hayes I just got from wherever, I don't know where I got that from. It's a last name that exists. But Anthea Bell is the translator, the English translator for the Inkheart series. So, because the Inkheart series is originally written in German, so I thought to honor her, I'd name a character after her. So that's what I did. Some names are just complete nonsense, but I have some kind of reason for them. Also in the storage room book, I've got Kundi Zapatum and Matum Dipeka. Matuum is how you pronounce that. Both of those characters are fire dragons. Fire dragons have names based off of their language. Their language is Kuadwan. I wasn't creative with that. It's literally my last name backwards, and then you add an an at the end. Kiwadu is my last name backwards, and then add an an. How I got those names, Matuum Dipeka, that means strength of mountain. So D is kind of like, you know, Spanish or Italian for of. You know, de is of in Spanish, so I thought I'll do something like that, so I did D instead. Matuum means strength. I thought Matuum sounds like a strong, you know, and she's also, she's female, so I thought it had to be strong, but also has to be feminine, so Matuum, you know, that's like maternal, but, ooh, it's strong. And Peka, it's literally peak, like a peak of a mountain, but I switched the A and the K. Ha, clever. And the other name, Kundi Zapatum. Zapatum is like, my favorite Spanish word is zapato, which is shoe. And Zapatum in this language that I created means talon. So I thought, talon, shoe, Zapatum. It sounds cool. Why not? And Kundi, I chalked that one up to me writing in pencil, because it was originally curdy, because it means curved, because Kundi Zapatu means curved talent, because he was supposed to be a fighter, so he's supposed to be like, curved talent, ironic, because he's a pacifist, but moving on. Yeah, Curdy was supposed to be his name, but the R, I would write in pencil, and I write very messily in pencil, and it gets smudged. So eventually the R changed to an N, and I realized that too late, and then I looked at it and thought, Kundi, that sounds cooler than Curdy. curdy sounds like you're curdling, I don't know. So I went, oh, okay, his name is Kundi now. That's the way it is. So that's his name. And I believe that is it. I will show pictures now of my characters, because I love all of my characters and I have pictures drawn of them and good things like that. And I have yet to draw pictures of my characters from Run Home Children, although that will happen at some point, because I don't really get a visual of my characters when I'm first writing. I get more their personality, like, because I'm seeing it from their perspective. Although I do have a very good image of one of my characters from Run Home Children, because the other one, the other character obsesses a little bit about the way she looks, so I've seen it through her eyes, how she looks. But I will draw those characters soon. Okay, thank you for watching. I'm sorry this is so long. I hope to see you next time when I have a book review video. I'm going to be reviewing, where is it? This book. It's a very good book. You should all see the, you should all buy it, first of all. You should all watch my review. I'm going to have a spoiler-free review, and then a spoiler-filled review, where I just, like, fangirl about the book. Okay, see you next time.